Hello and welcome back, and today we're going to talk about the novel All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. For Finch, he talks about killing himself during breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He even writes fun facts about other people's suicides in his journal. We quickly learn that Finch isn't great at taking care of himself. He's really unuseful in a crisis. He uses his considerable charm to talk Violet down off the ledge. Then she returns the favor. After that, they embark on a pretty intense romance. The couple also gets a little nudge from their U.S. geography teacher, who has instructed pairs of students to go to the sites of Indiana. Soon enough, Finch and Violet begin to wander. During these outings, Finch acts as a sort of counselor to Violet. He helps her talk about her sister's death, travel by car again, and write stuff she wouldn't have usually have done if she had never met Finch. Just being around him is such an inspiration that Violet decides to start a new web magazine for girls. As Violet improves, Finch's situation gets worse. He has undiagnosed bipolar disorder, so the highs are high and the lows are very low. However, he's been getting bullied since birth, basically both his father, who beats him, and his classmates. But one thing's going great, though, and that is his relationship with Violet. On a warm afternoon, after swimming at the Blue Hole, another wander, they end up sleeping with each other, which ends up with them accidentally falling asleep, the problem not being till the next morning when Violet's parents hear about it. They are very furious, and they forbid her from seeing Finch. Finch falls into a downward spiral that starts with him moving into his bedroom closet and ends up with him getting expelled from school. He still sees Violet, but it's easy to hide his depression from her because they can't hang out as much. Sometimes she wonders if he's just losing interest, ignoring it as normal teenager stuff. One night, Finch takes a bunch of sleeping pills. He changes his mind almost immediately, admitting himself to the ER to get his stomach pumped. Soon after that, he attends a suicide support group in a nearby town to get help. And he also ends up running into Amanda Monk, his high school resident mean girl. Neither of them are excited about it. In an unusual fit of humanity, Amanda tells Violet about Finch's suicide attempt. Now Violet's worried. Eventually, she confronts Finch and they get into a huge fight. She wants to help, but he's not having it. Violet tries to enlist the help of her parents, but it's too late. Finch runs away from home, but his family doesn't care. No one's looking for him except for Violet, and Finch doesn't want to be found. Secretly, he goes out to the remaining wanders for his project with Violet. He even sends her text about it, but she won't make sense of it until after his death. And yes, we might as well go ahead and say it. Finch dies. Here's how it goes down. So one morning, more than a month after he disappears, Finch sends emails to pretty much everyone he knows. They're all some version of goodbye. Panicked, Violet goes through all his stuff and figures out he probably drowned himself at the Blue Hole. She goes there and sadly proves herself right. As life goes on, as it does, Violet decodes Finch's mystery text, visiting all the places he went to by himself on his last days. At the final wander, she finds a song Finch wrote for her. It helps her feel less guilty about his death, which until now she's pretty much considered all her fault. Now let's talk about some of the symbols that are found in the book. So Finch has a very strange memory about a dead bird, which he tells about us in the story approximately 1 million times over the course of the novel. Long story short, when Finch was a kid, a cardinal flew into the window in his living room over and over until one day it died. Finch, being Finch, he had an elaborate funeral for it and obsessed about the whole thing ever since. Finch names this incident as the source of his first black mood, and he thinks about the cardinal whenever he's feeling down, which is often. At first he felt guilty for not saving it. Over time, he comes to think that the cardinal's death was a suicide. And you may have noticed that Finch is also a bird's name. This is not an accident. The dead cardinal symbolizes Finch. When it died, Finch said, there is nothing to make last a long time. He quotes himself on the wall of his bedroom before he commits suicide. With another symbol in the story, we know that violet is named for a flower which Finch views as a symbol of life and hope. And he's not alone. Flowers are a pretty universal symbol of renewal and rebirth. One day during a manic episode, Finch goes into great lengths to bring her a bouquet from a greenhouse. He tells the people who run the greenhouse, winter is here, and I don't know where I'll be in spring. I want her to know I'm thinking of her now. When he brings the flowers to Violet, she gets it right away. Finch, you brought me spring, she says. After Finch disappears, but before his body is found, Violet and her parents go to visit the site where Eleanor, her past sister, died. Embedded on the ground is a license plate, one that suddenly looks familiar. Encircling it is a small garden where someone had planted flowers. Finch. Cue the soaring music. We think it's a good tagline for the book to be, even in death, Finch is still bringing her spring. Lastly, we can come to the topic of theme in the novel, and a recurring topic would have to be family. When it comes to family, sometimes the grass is greener on the other side. For example, Violet envies Finch's freedom while he's jealous of her closeness with her mom and dad. Violet's parents are caring, but they seem repressed and tight-lipped about their daughter's death. And Finch's dad is the opposite. He lets his feelings be known, sometimes with his fists. Finch's mom is wrapped up in her own problems to the point of neglect. Still, there are certain similarities between the two families. One is secrets. Finch and Violet each keep things from their parents, even though it's for different reasons. The other thing that they have in common is love. Violet's love for her parents and her dead sister is a huge part of her life. It drives her moods and her actions. Finch, too, loves his family except for his dad, which seems reasonable because of the way his dad treated him throughout his life. Bye guys, I hope you enjoyed the novel as much as I did.